And now it's time for a Q&A from you, the viewers, and I thought I would answer some questions related to covering CES. So Papadum Geek wants to know, how do you find it using a wireless microphone in an area that he assumes would have lots of interference? And of course, CES has a ton of interference because there's a lot of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi devices kicking around. So I thought what I would do is take out my camera that I usually shoot with at CES and show you exactly what is on it and what's attached to it. So as far as microphones are concerned, I use the Sennheiser AVX system. In fact, I use this here in the studio as well. It consists of two parts, the first being the receiver unit here. This connects directly to the XLR port on my camera, but they also come with adapters to allow you to plug it into any camera that has a standard microphone jack as well. There's a little battery on here. What's neat about this is that when you turn the camera on, the receiver will turn itself on and then shuts down when the phantom power gets cut to the microphone port. It's really handy like that. But what I really like about the AVX is that I've never had a problem with it. I've never had to choose frequencies like you have to do on other wireless systems. You just turn it on, you pair it up with the microphone, in this case the stick microphone, and it just works. And what it does is it operates on the 1.9 gigahertz spectrum, I believe, which is different, of course, than what Bluetooth and Wi-Fi typically operate under. So it's not as crowded a frequency range. And then the AVX picks a number of channels in that frequency range and automatically switches from one to the other. So if it does encounter interference, it's actually receiving on multiple frequencies simultaneously and then just shifts over to another one. So it's constantly trying to keep you out of trouble. And I have never, ever, in any of the things that I've done, had an issue with this. It's just perfectly matched for what I do. I like to turn things on and make them work, and that is what happened there. I also have some body packs for lavalier microphones. In fact, I use the AVX here in the studio also just because it's so convenient. So that is what I use for interviews and whatnot. Same receivers, just switch over to these little body packs that I wear for doing my other types of things that call for a lavalier mic. So again, a really seamless system and something that works quite well. This camera I've had for almost 5 years now, and what's neat about this one, this is the Sony PXW70, is that when I bought it, it was only 1080p, but then they had a firmware update that brought it to 4K. In fact, Sony still sells this camera. It's unusual for cameras to last that long in the marketplace, but it's still available. It'll do 4K now at 100 megabits per second. What's nice when you're out in the field shooting 4K is that if you're producing 1080p content, you can crop and zoom and make it look like two different camera shots. That's what we did for the Silicon Dust interview. This camera's been great. I love the video quality. I'm not crazy about the autofocus. A lot of you have pointed out that it was having a hard time finding focus every once in a while. It's the one thing Sony cameras don't do very well is autofocusing. And again, if we had a little more time, I would have taken more time to shoot more B-roll, but we were really trying to get as much crammed in a very short period of time. But normally we would go out and get some B-roll to kind of cover up some of those blurry shots that this camera generated. But on balance, it's a great camera. The stabilizer on it is remarkable. So everything you saw, with the exception of the Silicon Dust interview, was shot handheld, but it really stabilizes things to the point that sometimes people think you're using one of those gyroscopic Steadicam mounts and whatnot on there. And then the light on the top here is from, I don't know who this is from, Dracast. And this was something that was getting liquidated at B&H a couple of years ago. It's a very nice lamp. It's got a number of different color temperature options here on the back that you can adjust with it. The battery lasts a pretty good long time. It is LED, of course. Doesn't add all that much weight to the package here, but you do have to really hold the camera with two hands when you're shooting with it like this. And what's funny is I saw so many of these lights at the show on other cameras because everybody bought this when they were clearing them out, so everybody got in on that deal. So overall, that's it. I mean, this is all I use when I'm shooting out in the field, is this camera and the microphone here. I'll put a link down below to the videos I did on the AVX system, because the other thing that I added to this mic was their cardioid microphone head. This is what filters out all of the other noise around me. And I'll talk about why I use this in a minute. But when you're in these really noisy rooms, this really isolates sound quite well. And that's why a lot of people go to these things with a stick microphone versus something else.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Chris Allegretta, the Four Guys with Quarters podcast, Tom Albrecht, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.